Recognize this place? This is Brandon, Manitoba. Population, just over 50,000. A small, beautiful city like many others that dot the Canadian landscape. Now, imagine if every person in Brandon vanished. Well, since 2016, we've lost a city the size of Brandon to drugs. That's 49,000 Canadian lives lost, more than died fighting for Canada in the Second World War. They are real people, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, fathers, mothers, friends to thousands more. Then there are the countless others now living in the hell of addiction and homelessness. Close to 8 out of 10 of those overdose deaths involve fentanyl. It wasn't like this before the Liberals radically liberalized drugs. Now, Canada has become a drug manufacturing hotspot. Super labs in Canada synthesize the drugs using precursor chemicals, the ingredients that make fentanyl. These labs look like scenes from Breaking Bad, but it's not happening in New Mexico, in a TV drama. It's happening in Canada, in real life, right now. In November 2024, police dismantled what they described as the, quote, largest, most sophisticated illicit drug super lab in the country, in Falkland, British Columbia. One of the accused was out of jail after earlier convictions. Police said they seized 54 kilograms of fentanyl. Now, that might not sound like much at first, but remember this, it takes just 2 milligrams of fentanyl to kill a person. That means there was enough fentanyl found in this lab alone to kill 27 million people. But it gets worse. Police found enough ingredients to make over 95 million lethal doses, enough to kill every Canadian twice. Police also found 390 kilograms of methamphetamine, small explosives, ammunition, silencers, high-capacity magazines, body armor, $500,000 in cash, and 89 firearms, many of which were, quote, loaded and ready to be used. Days earlier, police discovered a super lab in Langley, BC, that they say was capable of producing multiple kilograms of fentanyl on a weekly basis. A Government of Canada report confirmed, and I quote, seizures of Canada-sourced fentanyl in places like the US and Australia suggest that domestic production is likely exceeding domestic demand and that Canada is now a source and transit country for fentanyl to some markets. The number of seizures of fentanyl at the Canada-US border more than tripled between 2023 and 2024, rising from 239,000 doses to 839,000. How did this happen? Well, the NDP Liberals happened. They legalized fentanyl possession in BC, told prosecutors to stop pursuing drug offenders, and worst of all, passed Bill C-5, which eliminated mandatory jail time for the production and trafficking of hard drugs like fentanyl, encouraging the worst criminals to come back into our communities and take up shop here. The Falkland Super Lab that police discovered had ties to a transnational criminal network that spans from Mexico all the way to China. They're killing our people and many in other countries, which is now endangering our trade with our closest ally. President Trump has said the reason that he's tariffing Canada is because of lethal drugs flowing over the border. Whether we agree with him or not, we shouldn't be taking action to stop drugs just to please him. We should do it so that not one more mother must bury her face in her hands in agony after her son overdosed and died in a back alley. We must stop the drugs to save our people and to put Canada first. It starts with locking up mass traffickers and manufacturers of this poison, with penalties that fit the crime. But what is the crime? Let's call mass fentanyl trafficking what it is: mass murder. Selling 40 milligrams of this poison is enough to kill 20 people. It's like spraying bullets into a crowd. You might not know who you are killing, but statistically, it's certain that someone will die. That's why I'm announcing today, as part of my Canada First plan, that common sense conservatives will bring in mandatory prison sentences, including life sentences for anyone caught trafficking, producing, or exporting over 40 milligrams of fentanyl, and 15 years for traffickers caught with between 20 milligrams and 40 milligrams. The people we will lock away are not non-violent drug addicts. People with addiction are the real victims of these traffickers, and my government will offer them life-saving treatment and recovery services. Nor are we targeting the small-time dealer on a street corner, though he will face penalties too. Rather, my new law will treat fentanyl kingpins, who kill thousands of Canadians each year, like the mass murderers they are. By locking up the big bosses and throwing away the key, we will cut the head off the poisonous fentanyl snake. All of this to save lives, bring our loved ones home drug-free, secure free trade, and most of all, put Canada first.